Hey guys, this is Chris, and today I wanted to do this video talking about some tips on how to do guitar looping. Now these tips can be applied to other kind of looping like vocals or other things, but since I do most of my looping with a guitar, I'll just show you there. Now, looping, what it is it's basically like just recording yourself playing a passage of music. And most loopers, you can do it over and over again, but you're just layering things. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, some people do looping for performance purposes. The only real situations where I suggest that is if you're kind of a one-man band and you want to have, a looper in order to play multiple parts. That's really good, and that's really whenever a looper comes in handy for performance. But if you're looping with other people in a band, it's not that easy because not everybody's timing is exactly the same. So loops usually end up being bad. But I do all my looping for creativity purposes. If I want to write a lead line over some chords, well, instead of just kind of guessing how that would sound, I actually can jam with myself because I can loop it and then work on the lead. So I'm going to show you that right now. So I'm using a Pod HD500. It has a looper inside of that. There are all other kinds of loopers that you can get, and usually most of them work really nicely. I used to have a Boss RC50. They came out with a new RC300. It looks really nice. But there are tons of options for loopers. So here's just a quick sample of how I use it mostly, and that's for creativity. So turn the looper on and so that's one way to do looping. Now even in there, you could tell my timing was a little bit off. And see, that's where the next section we're going to talk about. Now that's why looping is so nice, because you always have someone to jam with. You can jam with yourself anytime you want. Now, this next part, like I said, we're going to talk about some issues though that can happen with looping. And the first one is your timing. You always want to make sure your timing is really on. So in that last example, let's listen to it by itself. And it sounds like this. Hear that little pause? That pause is there is because I didn't hit the looper perfectly. Now I'm glad this happened because now I can show you how we can fix that. The best way to do something when you're playing with a looper is you want to click the start, stop, or record, or whatever it is. They're different on all the different loopers. But usually it's the record button. You want to hit that right when you're doing your downstroke to start, and then you want to make sure you do another downstroke at the exact time and click it at the same time. Now you're probably like, what are you talking about? Well, let's try to do this a little cleaner now. Okay, see that? There's no more gap there anymore, because this is the biggest issue. You have to work on your timing. Now, just to be a good musician, you have to have good timing in general, but especially when it comes to looping, because you don't want that little pause there like I did in the first loop. So now it sounds a lot more natural. You can do a jam over it again. Okay, that sounds way better than having that little gap. Now the second thing we're going to be talking about is something that only really applies if you're going to do looping with delays. Now listen to how unnatural this sounds. Because I don't start the delay or start the loop at the right time, my delays get cut off, and then it doesn't sound right. So let's listen to it together. Okay, so my timing's good now, but I'm having that little issue where it's not catching my delays. Let's listen to it one more time. You can hear it. It doesn't sound right. Listen to this when it comes back around. Listen to it because it sounds like empty a little bit. Now that can be really unnatural sounding and it doesn't sound very musical. So the way I fix that is I just play the ending of the riff first before I click it to loop. And so that way it's catching my delays. So it might sound a little funny at first, but you'll get what I'm doing. So you can hear that dun 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 dun. You're hearing that whenever it's going around the second time. So now I can take that and I can, put a harmony to it. So let's play that. And then I could do even another one on top of that. So I'm going to play this out, and hopefully some of this helps you guys out. And thanks for watching.